Okay.
Yes, we did.
Okay, very good. All right.
I think I got it.
Next order is the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next order item on the agenda is public comments. If anybody's around that has comments for something that's not on the agenda, we'll hear them now. Everybody raising their hand? Okay, good. Then minutes from the previous meeting, I entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Made in second. Who wants the second?
Go ahead.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is the budget discussion. I guess I'll ask the department heads if they had any comments about the budget and they're satisfied with it. Probably not.
I didn't know it was out.
Any
Did you?
comments? Everybody's okay?
I haven't even seen it yet.
Yeah, I haven't either.
You haven't?
No, I've never been called down to discuss it yet either.
That's not good since we're pretty close.
Okay, well,
I had a discussion with Tom about it and it went fine. We stayed pretty much the same as last year unless something's changed. I don't know about it. The only good thing that happened is last week I got notified that we're gonna get an extra 10 grand in grant money from the state because the recording fees are at a record high this year with all the real estate going on. So
wow, okay.
$10,000 is always good.
Good for you. Well, then, zoning should be making more money too then, because,
Well, you would
We're
think
up there a little bit.
yeah. And forestry zoning, you have not seen the budgets?
Well, I mean, we had a preliminary discussion, you know, and like Dan said, ours was kind of static from last year. You know, we've had, you know, one purchase we're looking at for equipment, but
Yeah, I know.
other than that, there's really no change. So I don't think we had a whole lot to talk about really.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Zoning, anything?
Yeah, I mean, we had our preliminary budgets, due in July. Never had discussion after that. So maybe it didn't change from what I had preliminary set forth.
I mean, from the finance committee perspective, I didn't see any change for your department.
Okay.
Mr. Chair? Can you hear me?
Budget discussion. Yes, do we have any events or anything?
No.
Okay,
I think,
yeah,
I think Tom wants to say something.
okay.
Can you hear me?
You want to do that? I don't know how to do that.
He's on mute, so we should be able to.
Tom, I think you can talk.
Yeah, can you hear me? Nothing?
Oh, there you go.
there he is.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
Yes, as far as the budget goes, we did have preliminary discussions. Everyone turned in their budgets. The ones that are status quo, we didn't necessarily go back and talk to them. Did talk to Greg a couple of times, especially on the revenue side. There is no changes in any of these budgets as far as staffing. So pretty much status quo on these budgets. I think zoning has got a vehicle on the capital side, and we're possibly looking at used vehicle instead of a new vehicle on that. So that would be the only change from what was submitted by departments. And you should have had department budgets attached to the agenda, but I don't see that they're there. So we'll get those out to you as well.
Okay. Okay. Good. And okay. We might have another crack at them in November. I think we're before the board meeting, aren't we? We are. Okay. And that's when the budget will be approved. Okay. So now we're down to the third county treasurers. What's next?
Gentleman had approached us regarding that preference to previous owner that's available to a property owner that we just foreclosed on in July, but he did not follow through, so that's done.
So that's off. Then we have the land
The
sale.
land sale, and I gave you the list of the actual land sale list and darkened the ones that we did receive any bids on. And then I gave you the bid summary. We had two parcels that each had received two bids, and none of them are a tie or anything, so we would award it to the highest bidder. And this has to go to the county board for approval.
So this is the notice for the land sale, these are not the actual numbers for the
This
bid.
is the actual sale, and the ones that are
Okay.
highlighted are the parcels that sold, or that we received the bid on.
Need a motion?
Yes. I do need a vote.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, and then send it on to the county board, okay, for approval.
That forever now.
Is there a
Well,
second?
what about number 8?
Came in and bought it on it.
Or is that for both of them? Can't be for both of them.
Ernie?
Number 8,
That's the one I would have.
we just approved the land sale part.
Yes.
Right,
But what about number 8?
Was that the preference to previous owner?
Yeah.
Yes,
That's what I said, we never received his
so,
application.
but you still, you need a motion on that, right?
It's just a new point.
Or just leave it? Okay, okay. All right, it just says approval needed, that's why I asked.
Yeah, well,
okay. All right, so we have a motion, and do we have a second?
No, not yet.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the land sales and send it out to the county board for approval. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carries. Okay, thank you.
Can I just make a comment
Sure.
regarding some of these village parcels that we foreclosed on the last few years? They have dilapidated homes, and I'd like to get it on a future agenda, how we can maybe do some cleanup on those and get something going on it. So
Yeah,
just an FYI at this point.
right. So we'll pass it on, get it out, and we'll be happy to.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Okay. Land records and surveyor. You probably always told us the good news.
Yeah, that was the only good news. $10,000 is always good. I guess the survey crew's been working in Draper, Winter, and Cooteray. Yesterday, we were working on trying to get some boundary lines in where there's some timber sales that they're waiting to mark the wood. Land record side, they're caught up on certified survey maps within a week. Transfers are back 2 weeks. Been working on a lot of addressing because there's a lot of permits, people buying little pieces of land all over. They're trying to, or their listers working with the clerks to get caught up to get the mill rate set for next month when the tax bills get made, and they're working with attorneys and title companies all through the summer, all the things where people make mistakes, need corrections, they all get built up in a pile, and they're trying to get through that now and get it cleaned up before tax times. That's why we.
How are you coming on staffing and land records?
Well, we've got one pending retirement in first of the year, so I think we've got that position filled now. And so the next thing will be the fun of trying to train somebody with everybody not being within 6 feet of each other and working virtually, and we'll see how that goes.
All right, any questions for land records there? All right, then we're moving on to Sawyer County Forestry.
Okay, we have 15-year plan chapters. Just a brief update. Chapter 100 and 200 went through the 30-day public comment period, and we received no comments on those first 2 chapters. But what we have today, we have chapter 400, which deals with forest ownership, county forest blocking, acquisition, surveying, those types of things. We have chapter 500, which is land management and use, deals with contracts and how we sell timber. And chapter 600, which deals with forest protection. I had chapter 300 was supposed to be on here, but I had some tables and charts that kind of blew up my main document. So that's just description of forest. It's just background info, but I couldn't get it put together. So we focused on these 3 chapters. And I guess, what I'd like to do, if the committee had time to review it, I mean, I'm looking if we can put it out for public comment, or we could wait till next month also, but I would prefer to get it out for comment if the
Right.
committee's comfortable with that.
While the public's commenting, we would have a chance to comment as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody against sending it out for public comment?
No.
Okay, good. You don't need a motion or anything for that, do you?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
But, and then also, so what leaves us with, we have basically 3 chapters left to go. Chapter 700, which is access management, chapter 800 is integrated management, and then chapter 900, which is recreation. So we're going to kind of work through some of our stakeholder group people on the recreation and access this next month, and we'll tie this in with the comprehensive outdoor rec plan as well. So, and then we have a couple chapters of appendix and planning and reports, those types of things. So.
So you're wanting us to look at chapters 400 through 600 and send you any comments we might have, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, all right, there's our assignment for the month. Okay,
When does it go to the public to?
I think, Greg, it has to be done by the end of the year.
Yeah, by the end of the year. So, you know, and DNR gave us a little bit more flexibility with public comments. So we just have to have a 30-day comment period for each chapter. So when they go out, we'll give the public 30 days, and then we'll have the full plan that will go to county board. So public and committee board can comment on it again. So we're just trying to piece it out to make it a little bit more manageable at this point.
Any more questions for Greg on the 15-year plan? And you're working with Ed on the recreation side?
Yeah, a little bit. It's been tough with the restrictions, but we're trying.
Okay, all right, good. All right, and Greg, you're gonna do the ORV council meeting summary?
Yep, I'll start on that. I'm sure Don can chime in a little bit on that too, but we had our funding meeting for the Off-Road Vehicle Council on September 22nd. We had applied for 5 special grant projects, and we received all 5 of them. We got new miles for Trail 3, 1.4 miles down by Edgewater for $1,120. We had a big one, Trail 5 rehab project, Eagle Lodge North, 9.06 miles for $246,000. Trail 5 rehab reroute near Forest Road 320, 0.3 miles for just under $8,000. And then 2 more rehab projects on Trail 8, 1.3 miles for $36,000, and Trail 11 from Tuscobia to Lost Lake Road, 3.2 miles for just over $86,000. So it was a pretty contentious funding meeting, really. 4 of our projects sailed through without a question, but we got hung up on the rehab, the big one. We're kind of battling with the ORV Council. We have the land managers ourselves that are speccing out trails. We have the user groups that are asking for the same specifications, and we get in arguments with the council, a few members that they're arguing that we need more technical trails. So, which is not what we're hearing from our user group. And, you know, with our certification standards, we have to have a certain maintainable trail surface. So that Trail 5 one, they kicked it out initially, tabled it until after lunch, and it took Forestry, our grant specialist, and Don to argue our point to get that project funded. So they broke for lunch, and a lot of emails and phone calls were going on during the lunch break, and they came back and they decided to fund that last project. So, but it took all of us, and I'd like to thank Don for his help. Don was in person at the meeting. We were on the Zoom, but it was kind of a dicey one. So,
Next time.
How much is that total?
Total funding for our special grants, we got just under $380,000 for special grant projects. And then earlier in the season, we did get awarded our normal maintenance grants through that process.
Question, Mr. Chair.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Greg, on these rehab projects, what does that consist of? I mean, can you tell me what they do when they rehabilitate them or what?
Basically, what we do, we put a slight crown on the trail. We work the ditches, and then we top dress with usually a little bit of pit run and about probably 4 inches of 3/4 inch crushed gravel on top. So we're looking at a 10-foot drivable surface with crown and a little bit of ditching so we can maintain the water flow. And also, we need something that the clubs can actually maintain. We can grade it, a couple times a year, some material to move around. So.
Because I know that the Scobia a lot of times does get washed out.
Yeah, and we've been working on that. We got 3 rehabs we got done this summer on that, where we have recrowned it and put some more material on so we can maintain it. Then you look on the Tuscobia, some of the rain events we had this summer, we had sections that the club had graded, and where the grading ended, you could see that's where we had the water damage. It doesn't take much, and that's where we get all our washouts. So.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
You use the phrase technical trail. I'm not a regular here. What does that mean, technical trail?
I'm not sure what that means either, but it's some of these council members, I think they want the big mud holes and the rocks and things like that, so this trail, it was 10 miles and it's a major connector, and I'll let Don talk a little bit more about that, and it just I don't see people wanting to beat themselves to a pulp for a 10-mile section to get from point A to point B. That's what we've been trying to do for years with the ATV system, is to kind of mimic a snowmobile trail system where it's destination point to point. And we still have sections of trail that are plenty challenging and fun to ride through. So I'm not entirely sure there's a disconnect, and some of these council members, they're from the southern part of the state, and I don't think they really understand our soil types and what we're dealing with here. We've got 150 miles of funded trails that we maintain with the Alliance, and even on the best of years, with everybody doing anything they can, we still have plenty of technical trail sections that develop. So.
I talked to a lot of folks from Minnesota, mostly, and they always praise the trails. The one comment I get most, though, is they like the tougher trails.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why not just drive your car down the highway?
Yeah, and that's some of it. Yeah. So.
Anyway, good job.
Okay, any more questions for Greg on the council meeting summary?
No.
Okay, if not, I guess we'll ask Mr. Moreltek to add his comments.
Okay. Well, and I'll go right into my report too on the motorized recreational, if that's all right with you.
Whatever.
Very good summer, or very good fall here. I mean, we've been very busy, but along with that busy there's been some issues with the rain and the heavy traffic. It's taken its toll on our trail systems. And I know the council wants technical, but we get technical with all the rain and the traffic. It's making mud holes out there. And if you don't fix some of these water holes out there on the trail, it's only gonna take a year or two and you're gonna be going up and around it. So we have technical trails out there just with our regular trails here. So for the people that want that, there's gonna be there. But we get a lot of families up there too that don't wanna get stranded out there, don't wanna get stuck out in the water holes. So we've gotta correct that. So the council's talking about more technical, but we've got technical spots on just our regular trails out there that we need to get corrected. This Trail 5 that we've got this huge grant on, you couldn't drive a pickup truck through there right now. If you're gonna drive ATV down there, it's 5 miles an hour or so. I mean, it's rough. Greg's brother Mike made a good comment to the ORV council. The ORV council is looking at, they just want to do spot checking out there on the water holes there. They don't want to gravel the whole trail. You cannot get a dump truck down there to fix it unless you do the whole trail. So there's some strong discussion between the council and the county foresters and that we need to get that worked out. Hopefully that'll happen in the future. Big concern we have on the alliance level is maintaining it, that we're gonna probably have to do more contract work out. We have the volunteers and we're even short on volunteers some in the summertime for grooming our snowmobile trail, or in the wintertime for grooming our snowmobile trails. But in the summertime, everybody's busy. And it's getting harder and harder to do this, especially as more involved with it, you know, more greater work and everything else. So we're probably gonna be looking at doing more contract work on getting gravel out there because of, like I said, the ATVs and the rain is taking our gravel away. We need to get more out there and we need to get them bladed and better maintained than that. But otherwise, traffic has been fantastic. Everything's been a great season so far. Any questions? I was down there for the ORV council. I got lucky because I'm on the snowmobile council and snowmobile councilman the 2 days before that. And so they allowed me to stick around for the ORV council. Otherwise, everybody else had to follow it by Zoom. And so I got to put in a couple words there during lunchtime.
Someone that wants to talk.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. Are they muted, unmuted?
They need to unmute.
Can you do that?
No.
Nope.
I have to ask them to unmute.
You have to ask them to unmute.
Okay. Who is it?
Gordon Zimmerman.
Okay, Gordon, can you unmute?
Click on
You can click on ask to unmute.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's about all you can do.
And some people end up accidentally raising their hands. I've seen that quite often.
Okay, then all right. So why don't we just go on, if Gordon gets a chance, we can have him call.
All right.
Okay. All right. We're all done with motorized trails. I don't see anybody here for the non-motorized trails. Okay. County Forestry report.
Okay, just real brief. We had 11 sales listed in September. Still a fair amount of activity considering the markets right now. Sale value on file right now is just over 3.1 million. Sale revenue, we took in just about 152,000 for September. So our year-to-date gross sale revenue right now is just over 1.5 million. Looks like we're on target so far to hit revenue goal for the year. We're starting to get a fair amount of camping permit applications in. That's the revenue coming in there for, basically that's for deer hunting season for dispersed camping. Sale revenue billed out right now is just over 100,000. Sale inspections are on target for level of activity. A fair amount of tract established and turned in. We are preparing our fall timber sale prospectus right now. That's scheduled to go out on October 14th. We have a bid opening scheduled for November 6th. So we'll get hopefully get a firm grip on what the markets are doing, at least for that month. So we will see. Recon is on target. Other than that, really don't have anything else to report at this time.
How, your collections are okay? I mean, when you bill them, what's the average, 30 days to get the money?
Yep.
Okay, so you don't have any collection problem?
No. I mean, we have a 30-day window and then they accrue finance charges. So, I mean, we have a few that pay the fee, but generally it's been pretty good.
Good. Any questions for Greg on the forestry report? Okay, moving on, DNR, I don't see anybody from DNR. Do you have anything, Greg, from DNR?
Roy submitted a written report. I don't know if that's in the packet or not,
It's on here.
but I mean, I could run through it real quick.
No, if it's in the packet, I don't think we need it.
Okay, good enough.
Unless somebody wants him, Greg, to run through it.
We can read it.
Okay,
Good enough.
good enough. Then let's go. That's it for the forestry department.
Yep.
Okay. All right, Jay, you're up.
Yeah, so the first one we have there is for the request letter of support for a countywide decontamination ordinance. You've seen this last couple months. The Whitefish Lake Association or Whitefish Lake Property Owners Association is interested in pursuing a DNR grant for a countywide decontamination ordinance. It's been discussed that the WLPOA will proceed with requesting the grant and kind of developing an ordinance. Ultimately, that ordinance then would need to come back to this committee and then through county board to have any type of adoption process. I can certainly answer any questions you may have about the potential of this. At this time, though, it is just as a request from this committee to look favorably or look into proceeding with this grant. In no way then bounding or binding the county to adopt the process, but at least giving our support for that Whitefish Lake Association property owners to go through and submit for the grant. And once we see potential draft ordinance language, we can, discuss it at further at that point. Education is going to be key in all this, but without having any true teeth into those that would knowingly violate it, education only goes so far to an extent then. So again, that's somewhat the intent of adopting some type of ordinance potentially in the future.
Okay, so then you would need a motion for us to approve the letter and then send it on.
Correct. And then I do have is that second copy there as to what the actual signature, at least from the chairman, would read for this potential request for that grant approval proposal.
So we need a motion on your letter?
Yeah, yeah.
I will make that motion to
Approve it.
approve that letter of support
All right,
from this
good.
committee.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it, and it's a good, we'll put together.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the letter?
Yeah, I have a question if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, hey, Jay, I'm just wondering, what are some possible negative repercussions of this committee supporting or endorsing this ordinance? I mean, is there something that we might be missing?
I don't think so. And I did have a brief conversation with legal counsel as far as, just signing the letter of support. And I tried to, word that support letter in such a way that, again, this does not bound the Land, Water, Forest Resource Committee or the County Board of Supervisors to adopt any ordinance in the future. And again, just from a, practical standpoint, that it's a good idea. And there's no doubt about that. From all the stakeholder groups that we've talked to, whether it's the Sheriff's Department for enforcement, whether it's through the County Invasive Species Coordinator, and even in conversations with these other committee members, everyone's in favor of wanting to decontaminate a vessel to stop the spread of aquatic invasive species. It's yet to be determined is, okay, how does this all shake down though into ordinance format? And at what point, does the county end up, having any type of liability issues if we do pass the ordinance? So again, we're not looking at that yet. We're just looking at, yes, we think this is a good idea. And if Whitefish Lake Association, if you want to go through with, getting this grant request and producing some type of draft ordinance language, we'll pick it back up at that time and decide moving forward which way the county wants to go.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, everything on the surface sounds like a good idea. I just want to make sure that there wasn't something, a negative aspect to this that we might be overlooking. So I appreciate your answer. Thanks, Jay.
Yep.
All right, any more questions or discussions on the motion? Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carried. Okay, Jay, you want to amend those?
Yeah, second one is the amendment to the wildlife damage abatement and claims program. I do see Seth is on the phone there as well. I did get some other documentation from Seth that I was not able to get onto this agenda that'll go to November's agenda, and that will be for next year's wildlife damage budget, as well as crop prices that would need to be approved by this committee, as well as some of the bear damage claims that are out there. As of right now, though, the one you do have on the agenda for an action item is an increase for that budget amount. And for those that aren't familiar with the wildlife damage claim program, the county produces and sends out 4 grant requests to the state. The state then gives the county that grant money. We then pay APHIS to handle the wildlife damage aspect for the county. So it's in a sense pass-through money. The county requests the grant, we get the grant, we pay for services to do the work. So in no way does this affect our overall operating budget or any budget aspects of the county. Again, pass-through money, and again, what you have in front of you is a request to that grant amount that we will then send out to the state for asking for an additional $4,500 for then APHIS to do that contracted work.
Yes, go ahead.
Just so I understand this here, how come it says increasing the total WDNR funded portion of the budget to 54,000? If
Right.
it doesn't affect the budget.
That's for the DNR's funded portion. So the DNR funds the county that money. So again, it's still pass-through money. We send out for the grant amount to Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. They then pay that money to the county. We then write a check out from the county to APHIS to do the program. So again, it's not costing the county any money because we're getting the money from the state. It's passed
So you
through.
get the money and just go like that.
Pretty much.
Ship right to the
It pretty much does. We're the middleman proceeding and requesting the grant. We get the money grant, we give it back out again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so then you need a motion to approve the amendment here?
I would, yep, and then we will have some other action items for next month for the crop prices as well as the 2021 budget for wildlife damage.
Can you get us a farmer?
Potentially. And I don't know if Seth had any additional comments that he wanted to make. I see that he is online.
That's okay. And who would sign this? Would this go to Tom Hoff and sign it as a county administrator?
I'll have to check back. I mean, there's an action and a motion of approval from this committee. I could probably end up signing this as,
Okay.
and I'll look into it. I know we've done this for.
Morning, everyone. This is Seth. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead, Seth.
We did hear you there for a second.
Morning, everyone. This is Seth. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear us? That is the question.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Seth.
Can you hear us? Apparently not. So there's nothing we need to do on our end. Best you know.
Okay. Well, in either case, I mean, that's what we have for that discussion action item to amend that wildlife damage abutments and claim program.
So we need a motion to do it. Okay, motion's been made. Is there a second? Motion's been made and seconded to approve the amendment for the wildlife damage.
And there, you got it for me?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Jay, you want to quickly walk us through the permits?
Yeah. Sure. Again, permits have been pretty steady all through the course of the pandemic here. I don't think we're going to be as the number of permits that we received last year. Last year again was a very, very busy year. But again, we're right on track with the early or later teens of the 2017, 2018 era. So a lot of building going on out there, and still there's no slowdown with this fall weather. All the contractors are wanting to get in their last little projects here,
Okay.
which is great to see for the area. And there's a crazy amount of building going on. A lot of the contractors are already booked up until fall, if not spring of 2022 now.
2 years out.
Yep.
Question, this technically is a zoning report, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah, I guess you could say this would be some zoning aspects as
Right.
well on it. From a conservation aspect, we could include some of our on-site visits that are done by Tim and Kelly. We do some of the programs as far as cost sharing for erosion control measures, where Tim goes on site to do surveying and elevation work as part of those projects. We do our buffer zone checks for mitigation practices, which is kind of a zoning conservation program. Would you like to see more conservation oriented data as a report for this committee as opposed to zoning?
I believe we should have some of the conservation stuff.
Yeah, and then the question is, if this is really a zoning report, and the zoning committee hears it, do we want to hear it as well? No, okay.
No, I don't think.
Maybe we could move a little bit then, as you suggested, Jay, or the conservation.
Sure.
Okay.
Because this is what, on the county board, this is what Jay gives me to read for, as my chairman's report on the county board, so.
So we're getting it twice.
Getting it twice, yeah.
All right, good. Any more comments or questions about this?
No, I guess I have one other one. We did receive our grant reimbursement amounts for both of the dam projects that were completed early part of this year. That was for Tiger Cat as well as the Carlson Dam, which is Little Round Lake there. Both of those grant award amounts have now been received by the county and have gone back into the Resource Development Fund.
Good. Thank you. Anything else, Dave?
Nope.
All right, USDA report, do we have anything in writing from USDA? Nope. LCO report? Nothing there? Okay, you guys, anybody have a comment for the good of the cause there?
Yeah, the USDA representative we get.
Maybe the vice chairman of this committee should.
Who's our,
Yes,
who's our LCO rep? Jim?
I don't know who the LCO rep is. Dan Tyrell used to come in, and give a report, LCO report. When Brian was on this committee, he would give the LCO, right? So, I mean, does LCO get a copy of the agenda? Pardon me?
No, I don't feel record.
Okay, so could we track that down?
Send an email back out to Dan Tyrold or Brett McConnell, or one of those individuals, and pass it on to one of their conservation employees over there.
That would be good. It would be nice to have a report.
Right, yeah, I mean, Brian, when he gave a report, was pretty thorough.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other items for discussion? Any future topics? If not, we're adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Chair.
Good job, Mr. Chairman. As always.
Good job, department head.
Mike?
Don't mind gravel. More gravel all over the trails.